there are plenty of ways to just change our sexual life for the better.
Yeah.
And the very first step is get to know us. So let's not forget that our clitoris is not just the little thing, that little button in our vulvas. It's a whole organ, and it's the only organ that we have in our bodies that admits sexual pleasure. We should only think about this.
All right. Well, it's a real pleasure to have Dr. Leni Marseglia on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Zura, for having me.
I'm so excited for this conversation because we met just a couple months ago, not even 6 weeks ago, at the Copenhagen Health Week. And I have to share how we met because we were destined to meet and have you on the podcast because it was pouring rain and we were trying to get to this conference, and Natalie Nidham and I had been ordering an Uber, wasn't coming, and she had to be on stage in literally 5 minutes, and you came to the rescue. So we saw a big car come up, a big one actually, because we were a group of people, and you jumped in, and I was like, "Hey, can we join you? Are you going to the conference?" Because we were staying at the same hotel. And you said, "Yeah, sure, come in." And you saved the day. And I didn't realize at the time you were a speaker and you were on a panel of sex experts. And I was so excited when we had a quick chat, and then you had your talk, and I sat in the talk, and I was so impressed with what you had to say. I was like, "Oh, I am getting Dr. Leni on the show." So welcome again.
And here I am, and thank you. Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, I called the taxi, and the taxi arrived like for 6 people. It was like
How weird.
we
Because
went to meet. Absolutely.
yeah, it was so crazy. So I'm glad we met and we got along really well, and we chatted after the conference and shared notes. And oh, I have a Menopause Around the World video with you. You were so kind to open up because it's hard for me to get women to talk to me about menopause, and you were just open to it. And I didn't realize also, well, you were on stage, you're a podcast host, like you're used to being out there and talking about these things. I guess menopause is like nothing compared to the things that you speak about publicly. And we're going to dive into some of those things today.
Sure.
Okay. So my first question is, it was hard to do some research on you anyways, because usually before all my podcast hosts, I'd go listen to their podcasts and I'm reading their books and stuff, but you do everything in Italian and I don't speak Italian.
Yes.
Yet. I can figure out the Instagram reels and things like that. That's okay. But I really want to hear your story in terms of how you got into the world of sexual and mental health.
Yes, I'm here for that. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, all my contents are in Italian. My podcast, which is kind of a big one with 4 million downloads, it's actually in Italian, but I'm working on it. And I will tell you soon. I mean, I will tell you soon. I'm working on an international project, and so it will be in English, and that will be able to be understood
Oh, great.
by
Cool.
many people. Okay, so let's go on with my story. Okay, I actually started my career in a totally different industry because I took my very first graduation in business administration, and I've been a manager at kind of a high level for many years. And then when I was in my 30s, I realized that was not for me. So I took a graduation in psychology for 5 years and then a master in sexology for 2 years. And I became what in Europe it's called the psychosexologist. And so a sexologist trained in psychology, or vice versa, a psychologist trained in sexology. And the reason why I did this is because I had me myself. First, I had to struggle a lot. I've been struggling a lot with my orgasms, with my sexual life, with my pelvic pain, with anything that had to do with sexuality. And so I realized that this was not only my own problem, but that I could be helpful for many other women out there that were living my same struggle. So this is why I started all this career and all this consulting project. I work a lot. I see more than 10 people every single day. And yes, this is really a thing. And the key of this is just normalizing. The point is normalizing that orgasm is not guaranteed at any single intercourse, and that struggling with it's something that can happen. And if it happens any single time is also okay. I mean, maybe it's not okay, but it's something that is common and it happens to many other women because what we think is that we are the only one person in the whole world living with this condition, but it's not like that. And then I want to just tell you, I want to share with your listeners also another thing that I've been suffering from pelvic pain for 15 years before I was diagnosed with vulvodynia, which is an inflammation of the vulvar zone, vulva area.
Vulvodynia. Oh,
Vulvodynia.
vulvodynia. Vulvodynia. That's, you would think it would be vulvoitis or something, inflammation of the vulva, right?
Vulvitis, I love it. No, it's vulvodynia actually. This
Vulvo-
one is
I haven't heard of that. Interesting. So you finally were diagnosed after 15 years?
yes. And
Who?
that pain that I was feeling during penetrative sex and also when I was riding my bike or my moto was due to that tension in the pelvic muscles that were tightened, the entrance of my vagina and my urethra and my clitoris, and we're just doing this
Tightening,
work.
yeah.
Yes, and this is a very painful condition, but obviously all it's not visible. You cannot see it with your gynecologist. I mean, she just look at you and says "Oh, everything is fine, but the pain is there. And so now it's different. Now women and also young girls are diagnosed almost immediately, but at that time it was not like that.
So what was the
So
prescription to do that, to resolve it?
oh, there are many ways. It really depends on on the reasons why you feel that pain. It can be connected with your nerves, and that's the most serious and the more severe condition. Or it's a tight. I mean, all the muscles are tightened and are like this, and it can be for like a psychological condition, fear, or maybe shame, education, sense of guilt, something that happened. So it can be for a post-traumatic condition. It can be a post-traumatic condition, not necessarily sexual, but yeah, it has to do with something that happened in your life and you didn't process properly and it got stuck there.
So the prescription wouldn't be, oh, just take this pill and you'll be fine. It must be a whole series of protocols.
Yes. There is a protocol, and it really depends on any single case and on a single condition. But normally, you get rid of this pain by relaxing the muscles, and you just with breathing, doing this with breathing, you just relax the muscles, and you became more conscious and about those muscles there. And as soon as you feel the contraction, you just work on it with breathing and with breath work essentially, and it works very well. But still, any single case is as his own or her own story. So it really depends. It really depends. In my case, I resolved it with breath work.
Oh, wow. That's zero side effects. Like that's,
Zero side effects.
I love to
Zero
hear,
side
I
effects.
love hearing that because in fact, I myself, I did through the Oxygen Advantage breathing technique. I did the certification on breath work. It blew
Mhm.
my mind what we can do with our breath. And that was just incredible. But it reminds me, I'm wondering then, there's many root causes of vulvodynia, and I've just literally finishing an episode with Dr. Peter Attia. Do you listen to his podcast, The Drive?
Sure. I love it. I love that podcast and I love the.
Have you heard of Dr. Sally Greenwald? So she's, I don't know, I've never heard of her, but I'm seeing if she's going to come on the show. But she was very interesting. She said that she prescribes vaginal lubricant, and she's many different kinds, for women of in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's not a menopause thing, but she says even if you don't really feel anything, there's sort of microabrasions that are happening all throughout anyway, sexual penetration. But she does, whether you have sex or not, she's kind of like you take care of your skin. Every night you put on your cream on your face, you put your cream on your vagina. So I'd never heard of that. I thought that was, oh, only if you have vaginal dryness. But she's kind of like, no, every woman should be doing some kind of vaginal cream or lubrication as a prophylactic measure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Yes, I agree with that. It's like a beauty routine, let's call it, but for vulvas. So yeah, I agree with that. I do that, and I think it's yeah because We always think that lube is connected with vaginal dryness and we will use them when we will reach a certain age, but it's actually not. It must be part of our routine. It's okay. It's okay to do that.
Yeah, she said, yeah, if you want to protect your 80-year-old vagina, and I'm always like, you want to protect your 80-year-old self in many ways. We don't need, I guess, skincare. I mean, I mean, if you don't want to put on moisturizers or you don't, it's not like you're going to die, but you do want to have healthy skin, or it is not just about looks, right? You want to texture and everything to be good. That it kind of, I guess it kind of makes sense that, yeah, it's not natural to put on the sun, this, I guess, the sunscreen or the moisturizer, but we do it. And I guess it would be the same for the vaginal area. I get, okay, I'm going to start doing it. But that sounds cool.
Yeah, there are plenty of products out now, so you will be just choose the one that you prefer, but it's full of new products any single day.
Well,
But yes.
the one thing that she did, one thing I would consider, because anything you're putting kind of inside your body, you want it to be non-toxic, I guess, or least toxic as
Yes.
possible. So there must be, and she did speak about the pH of the vagina, and we need it to be a certain pH, not too much, not too little. So I guess you don't want to put anything in, just any kind of lubricant that have a lot of chemicals and toxicity and would change the pH. So there's probably certain that are better than others. She did quote the brands, but those are the ones in the US, and you and I are in Europe. Like, I don't even know. But is there any guidelines that you'd tell a woman in terms of getting something safe to put around that area?
Yes. What I guess, I mean, I'm not mentioning any brand in specific, but for sure, let's invest on it. Let's buy a good product and let's read the label. So no silicone, no petrol derived ingredients. As exactly what we do with our skin, in our face, in our for our hair, we do it for our vulvas. Normally in Europe, we go to the pharmacy and products sold in the pharmacy are normally okay, but you can find there are also some natural, very bio products that are also okay. Because you know what? A product that must stay wet and it must maintain this, it cannot be 100% natural because, yeah. So some water-based moisturizer or some hyaluronic acid moisturizers that are highly suggested.
Interesting. So you mentioned that you've got these, you see clients every single day.
Yes, a lot of them.
So and you are actually, and before we even go that, you mentioned you are a sexologist. What is a sexologist and how does that differ than a sex therapist or any other people out there helping women with their sexual health?
We are in an era, we are living in an era where sex became something we finally talk about. So many professional figures just popped up. I'm a psychologist and a sexologist, so I have, let's say, a clinical profile. Okay, so this is what I do. And in my clinic, in my day by day with my patients, what I deal with is their lack of orgasm, is their pelvic pain I mean, the psychological side of pelvic pain, obviously. I deal with the relational part. So this condition that has to do, the conditions that have to do with their relationship with in couple, let's say. I normally, but the core of my work is absolutely lack of orgasm or difficulty in reaching orgasm. This is what I speak about every single day with almost any single patient of mine. I normally work with women. Let's say that 80%, 79, 80% of my patients are women, but I also work with men and couples. I'm a female sexual health expert. So what I love is working with women and something that gives me so much. When I see a woman that comes to my clinic, we have this, she arrived with a face and goes away with a very happy face and more relaxed because she understands that her struggle is the struggle of many people and that there's a solution for that. And you know what, Zura? I talk about my personal experience and my professional experience. What happens is that too often, we do not know our bodies properly. And when it comes to sex, it's so much everything is so much into penetration for both for women and for men. And it's actually not that true.
But that's for men. That's the thing that there was an interesting study that this Sally on Dr. Peter Attia's podcast mentioned. It was a survey with the young adults, and it asked about, or I think maybe teenagers, it was the first sexual experience that you had, penetration. And so it was some crazy statistic where when the results came in, 70% more or less, some high statistic of the boys or the men were reporting things about pleasure. And for women, it was the majority was about pain. And that's kind of sad when we think about it. We want, and I think in my community too, including me, is we want to have pleasure. What is this? These guys are like, wow, they're always seem to be satisfied instantaneously and it happens so quickly. And then here we are, like, it's like long, we need more time. And we're not, our brains are hardwired differently than the guys in terms of it seems much harder to get that pleasure than it is for a man. Tell me if I'm wrong or what you're seeing. There's this gap between the men and the women.
There's a huge gap, and no one knows, or you're not wrong. I mean, it literally works like that. It's the percentage of women that struggle with sexual pleasure is enormously higher than men. So why this? For many reasons. First of all, because we as women, I work in three languages and I work with women from New York to Indonesia, let's say, okay, from the US to Indonesia. So very different women, they're very different women among them that have received a very different education, totally different, but they struggle with the same issues and the same conditions. So it's about education, but it's not only about education. I mean, the conclusion I arrived to is that the point is just dealing with having a vagina and the vulva. And yes, of course, also the way we grow up counts, but it's not only that. So about this difficulty and this struggle reaching orgasm, I think one of the reasons is that we are too much focused on penetration. Penetration has also a biological allure, let's say, because procreation happens through penetration. But we're biologically pushed into that and pushed into thinking that is sex. But one thing is procreation, one other thing is an orgasm. It's not the same thing. So this is a thing. One thing is procreation, one thing, very much different thing is orgasm. We as women are not trained since we are a child, since we are little girls, to understand how we work. And especially, for example, there's a nice thing here that we little girls start masturbating when around 2 years old, 2.5 years old, when they're very little. Obviously, they have no idea what they are doing, obviously, but they just discover that this side of our body produces some nice sensations. And then when we become like teenagers or something like that, we grow up, we just forget about that and we believe that a penis, I'm talking about heterosexual sex, and the penis would do magically would do everything we have been doing without it. I don't know if I'm clear on it.
One psychologist I remember hearing from, she said that we were girls and boys, I guess, but girls more so trained to not masturbate. If we were a baby touching our genitals, then the parents go, no, no, don't do that. Remove the hand. And so it's a bad thing. We discourage that. So since babyhood, we are growing up and maybe don't realize we have this pleasure area anymore because we were told to stay away from there. And also,
100%.
yeah. I mean, yeah, so that's probably the training. We're getting trained out of what is maybe natural or feeling good.
What you just mentioned is one of the main reasons why we as grown-ups struggle with our orgasms. Because when we were children, the main caregivers told us not to feel pleasure. And this, believe me, Zura, this can be a lifelong struggle, because this is one of the teaching of the pillars of teaching that we receive from our main caregiver. So when I train parents, I always tell them, leave them alone. Do not say anything when your kids, especially little girls, masturbate, because they must feel comfortable and they must feel allowed to feel pleasure. Because otherwise, when they grow up, it's going to be really a big deal to go back to pleasure. And what I always say is that sometimes we just do not authorize ourselves to feel pleasure. We authorize ourselves to feel pain, but not pleasure. And this
It's
is
so
weird.
wrong. It's so
It's
wrong,
so
but you're
weird, so
right.
wrong. But this is what
Wow.
happens sometimes. If you think about it, maybe, many people that are listening to us right now, maybe they are thinking the same. They say, oh my God, it's true.
Yeah.
I just don't authorize myself to feel pleasure, to abandon myself to pleasure, but I abandon myself to pain all the time.
And then when we get to this menopausal state, if you're dry or you're in pain or you've never explored that area or you don't even go there, you would lose sensitivity. I mean, I have the countless number of women I talk to who's just say, I feel nothing down there. It's dead. It's just gone. So this is a buildup over time. It could be because of the hormones. It could be for many other reasons, but definitely it's too prevalent.
It is. And there's also another,
Oh, yes.
can we talk about this?
Yes, because if you were especially on YouTube, this is something after when I saw Dr. Leni on stage and talking about the clitoris, and she pulls out this mini model of a clitoris out of her pocket. Like, wow, she's even got something to show us. So if you're on YouTube, go check it out because this is what maybe you can describe what you're showing for the listeners.
Sure. Because you mentioned that we reach a stage of our life when just the sensitivity of the area of the vagina, of the vulvar area, just decrease a little bit due to menopause or perimenopause. But believe me that also very young girls in their teenage age or in their 20s or in their 30s or in their 40s, they do not feel anything down there. So really a thing. It doesn't have to do only with menopause. That's why I showed this little one-to-one little organ that we all should knew about,
It
because
looks, sorry, describe
it
it.
looks like, okay, this is a clitoris and it's a one-to-one size, so it's like a normal size. We all have this one when we are relaxed. And this is the glands. And those two big things here are the bulbs, and those are the cruras. I'm
People looking at literally, it looks like two, like the bulbs look like bowls, and then there's this little, the clitoris has this little, looks like a penis, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But,
it
so
is.
we have penises on the inside, not on the outside.
It's all inside, but this little part. So the glans is the only one we see, and it's like in the conjunction of the labia minoras. So this is here, and so this is the one we normally stimulate during masturbation, and the external one, and all these other part of this organ is inside the female body, and now it's relaxed. But when it's aroused, and it's around 6 centimeters, when it's aroused, it can reach 11.5 centimeters. So it can literally have an erection, exactly like the penis, because the clitoris is made of erectile tissue,
Mhm.
exactly like the penis. So, what I always say to people is that as it is impossible to have a penetration with a relaxed penis, it is impossible to have penetration with a relaxed clitoris. Especially, it's impossible to feel something.
Ah, so is that, so what is the reason why girls in their 20s don't feel anything? Is it physiological or psychological? Is it just genetic?
It's a good mix between psychological and not knowing exactly what we are doing, and it also have to do with with the person we are having sex with, that he or she is also not aware of what she's doing or what he's doing, because this is the organ we have to focus on. The point is that if the clitoris is not aroused, so if the clitoris doesn't have an erection, so if the bulbs are not erected like they are here, you consider that here there's the entrance of the vagina, okay?
Mhm.
So Like this is the entrance of the vagina. So if these two bulbs have an erection, you feel pleasure during penetration. If those bulbs are not erected during penetration, you cannot feel anything.
So how do you
This is
fill up
how
those bulbs?
exactly. It's all about those bulbs and they must be erected. So this is the reason why many people very often they do not feel anything during penetration because we focus on the vaginal canal, which doesn't have any nerve connected with sexual pleasure. It
Totally.
has nerves, but not for sexual pleasure. The only nerve for sexual pleasure is the pudendum, the pudendal nerve that starts from the brain, goes through the spine, and at the level of the sacral vertebrae, it enters like a little hole and comes out in three little let's say ribbons, stripes, I don't know. It divides into three parts. One of them goes in the anal area because it stimulates the elevator muscle of the anus, which is very into sexual pleasure, the absolute starring of sexual pleasure, and I will tell you why. And the other two, they go in the clitoral area.
Hmm.
So the vaginal canal, we are so connected, we are so focused in, both men and women, doesn't have to do much with sexual pleasure. It doesn't have to do anything with sexual pleasure. It's just a location. It's just there. But sexual pleasure has to do with clitoris and with the pudendal nerve.
Okay, so this nerve starts in the brain, you said, right?
Yes.
And the brain is evidently is the biggest sex organ that we have, right?
Yes.
So then is this so I guess men don't have this pudendum nerve. What's it called?
In Latin, it's pudendum,
Okay. And
and
it's
probably in English is pudendal. I don't know. But pudendum is the scientific name because it's the Latin name of the nerve.
do,
Pudendum.
do men have the pudendum nerve?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's the only nerve that has to do with sexual pleasure, both in men and women. No other nerve.
Okay. So then you would think that how then let's talk a little bit about how the brain is the biggest sex organ. And because you're a psychologist, this makes sense because we have the biopsychosocial model for our libido or sexual pleasure or sexual health. And so they had done so many interviews on the physical part, like doctors saying, look, we got to get lube or we got to get the estrogen on so get more vaginal secretions, so many things that we can do on a physical level. But the psychological level is very different. So why don't you talk a little bit about how the brain is the biggest sex organ?
It is definitely the biggest sex organ. And the point is that everything starts with arousal. And we as women, we just make a little confusion between arousal and lubrication. If I'm very much lubricated, it doesn't mean that I'm aroused sexually. It
Hmm.
means that I'm lubricated.
Yeah.
But the arousal starts from our head, in our mind. And as mind, in this case, we mean brain. Let's go a little deeper on it in this. And this confusion, so I'm lubricated so much, so I'm excited. It's kind of makes us feeling miserable when it comes to orgasm because there are women that that lubricate just because they see something,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean that they're sexually aroused. And I give you like a very quick example. I mean, a woman can orgasm if she is very much aroused in her brain and zero aroused in and zero and have zero lubrication because I can just use lube and have an amazing sexual life
Hmm.
and feel or and have huge orgasms. But if I'm lubricated and I am not sexually aroused in my brain, I cannot have orgasm. No way.
Hmm.
So this is the point. And obviously the questioning is okay, but I'm in love. Yeah, I think he's good looking. He's handsome. We have an amazing family. Everything works perfectly. Why do I not orgasm with him? Okay, there are thousands of reasons for that. But one of the main reasons are two. The sexual arousal that starts in the mind, but the very first, I don't know how to say that in English, actually. This is my fault. But the trigger that triggers the mind into and that brings us into sexual arousal. And the second is the proper stimulation for that person. There is not a universal, let's say, a general way of stimulation, the bodies of people, the genitals of people, but there's the perfect cocktail for that person, sorry. So what we must know is get to know exactly how we work sexually. So what excites us and the stimulation we need. And to go back to your question and to your brain, it's not that easy to be aware of what really arouses, our brains. It's not that easy to get to know that. It's a long way, it's a long journey on what do I like? What does excites me a lot? And there's an amazing book written by Michael Bader, who is a psychiatrist, which is called Arousal. And he's one of the most important psychiatrists that dedicated a lot of his life to sexual fantasies.
Okay, yes. So go,
Mm.
they're just it seems we're talking about females mostly, right? Because it seems that men and arousal, it's so instantaneously. It doesn't take much.
Yes,
Here we're talking about we need to know ourselves, we need to get through, we got to understand, and it's like all this work, like it's just not fair.
it is. Definitely, it is. It is. And you said it right, Zora. I mean, for men, it's a little easier to get aroused. Obviously, if we identify the arousal with the erection,
Hmm.
but the arousal is also in the mind for every human, for every single human. So mind plays an important, a significant role for everybody. Okay, so this is very important. But let's say that men, for them, the sense of sight plays a significant role in arousal. For women, a little bit less. So this is something that we should take care of. So if we see a picture, if we see, I don't know, I just give you this very easy and very basic example. If we see a picture, we do not feel sexually excited. A picture of I don't know, a beautiful guy or a genital of a penis or something like that. Some men can get aroused with just a picture of a beautiful woman, maybe naked or something like that.
There was
So
Playboy magazine for decades before we had like because more
exactly,
access, right?
100%. So those were just pictures, but
Yeah.
the psychological and the sexual arousal for men, it's more visual.
Visual. Yeah.
For us, it's different.
Yeah.
We are not that visual. But I'm not saying that if a woman watches a porn movie, she doesn't get excited. She does, of course, of course. But this thing is more for men rather than for us.
They seem to react faster, I guess.
Yes, yes, the reaction is more immediate.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Okay.
need more. We are created difficult. We are created complicated. But it's such an amazing journey to be a woman.
It should be worth it in the sense that the sexual act, like, I almost feel bad for guys. Well, you just have a very quick orgasm and then you're done. If it's really that good, shouldn't we want to prolong it? And then this is what we like to have the foreplay for. It should be so juicy and enjoyable and fun that you'd want. So even though we're complicated or takes longer, we hopefully will find that joy through the process rather than just the quick act or the orgasm. And since you're the orgasm specialist, and I have the word anorgasmia, that's a word, right?
Yes,
What is that?
yes. The struggle, let's call it struggle, the difficulty in reaching orgasm. And I founded an association for that. Yes, I'm the
Mhm.
founder and the president of the International Association for Female Sexual Health and Anorgasmia.
Okay. So then
Because
go ahead.
because I think that it's very important to speak about that and to normalize that. And to normalize that we as women often we fake our orgasm and we must not feel alone. there's there are plenty of reasons why we do it, but it's something that is very common. So let's do not feel broken. Let's do not feel that something is not working with us, because this is a very common condition that has many solutions. So we are not lost in that. But let's just everybody know, I mean, just let everybody know that this is a thing. This is not something that has to do with the little percentage of women. No, it's not. It's something that has to do with millions of women.
Okay, anorgasmia is the struggle to have an orgasm. It's or
Yes.
not being able to, right?
It's
Oh, it's
both.
both.
There are many, let's say, many levels of anorgasmia that can be connected with many reasons. So that there are organic reasons that make it just impossible,
Hmm.
like neurological issues or serious metabolic issues. They just make the orgasm impossible. All the others at different levels are more psychological and more connected with something that can have a solution, let's say.
So then what is the statistics show the percentage of women who have anorgasmia, that means unable to orgasm, and then out of those, how many are actually have, what's the percentage of women who fake an orgasm?
Yes, there are, okay. The numbers that I'm giving you are based on surveys, but let's consider that people can lie.
Yes, that's of course.
Okay, so the surveys it keeps that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that there's a 40% of heterosexual women that may have faked her orgasm at least once in her life. But obviously, I work with anorgasmias, so the 100% of people that come to my clinic, they suffer of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, it's 100%, but in the world, it should be around 40, something less than 40%. But when it comes to homosexual women, so women that have sex with women, I mean, that women that have sex with women have a higher percentage of orgasm.
Yeah.
They normally do not fake, or they don't fake orgasm, and they also have a much higher redemption, so they orgasm around in the 85% of the intercourses.
So
So the 15% is not able to, let's say, reach orgasm when it comes to homosexual
do you
sex
think it's
among women.
because they feel safer or I don't know, less pressure? Is there why are they having more orgasms?
Well, there are many reasons, I think. The very first one is that they receive the proper stimulation.
Mhm.
And the other one is connected with timing, because in heterosexual sex, timing is related with the duration of the erection. And this doesn't happen in between women, among women. With women, we don't have time. If we go with women, we don't have time. Time is not a variable
Mhm.
of sex, while it is in heterosexual sex. But it shouldn't be, because penetration is not that important. So once it happens, I mean, once our partner, let's say, ejaculates, and it doesn't mean that the game is over. It means that he can still bring us up there,
Yeah.
even if he ejaculated. And this is like something that happens a lot. I mean, not in the 100% of the intercourses, but when the erection just fades for X reasons, the intercourse finishes. But this is really not the case. This is another, let's say, fake belief that I would love to dismantle, because this is really a struggle for women. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Erection is the erection, of course, wow, but once it's gone, it doesn't mean that the intercourse is gone.
Yes, actually, most women, as I understand the people I've interviewed, is are not having orgasms through penetrative sex. That's just porn that we're watching. That's like,
Exactly.
right?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult for a woman to orgasm only by penetrative sex. We absolutely must masturbate ourselves during the intercourse, during penetration, and of course, penetration must occur when the female body is ready to receive.
Hmm.
Okay, because the vaginal muscles are muscles, they open and they close. So we must receive penetration when we are ready, not when our partner is ready. And this is also the gap that we leave in any single intercourse, because we are constantly penetrated when our partner is ready to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should be much more aware of our timing, much more aware of our readiness to receive. And there's another thing that I would love to tell you, and to, because this is kind of important. Let's go back a little bit to breath work. Because in sex, it's very important. Penetrative sex should work like this. So penetration should occur. This is a pen. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Let's pretend it's a penis.
Holding a pen, and then she's
Yes,
opening her hand with the other hand. Yeah.
yes. Okay. So if this is the penis, it works like that.
Goes in. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
the penetration must occur when the vaginal muscles are opened and the penis enters. And when the penis goes out of the vagina, the muscles should do this.
Yes.
And this is
They should
much
go through
more,
it, like grabbing into the pen.
exactly. And this is much more satisfactory. I mean, it gives much more satisfaction to both of the partners.
Is that something we can control through, we can control those muscles, or is those muscles that we don't control?
Yes, we can control, because when we inhale from the nose and we just inflate our belly, the muscle they open because the diaphragm goes down and gently pushes down all the internal organs. So the muscles of the vagina just open.
Mhm.
And when we exhale from the mouth, the diaphragm gaps up with it all the organs, and the muscles of the vagina just go back to their previous position, so they just close. So this is the way we should definitely receive penis and release penis when we have sex, when we have penetrative sex. So those muscles are absolutely in control of us, of women. And our male partner should just adjust with this rhythm.
So, how do we communicate with our partner? Do you have a tip on how we can tell them what we need or what we want, or how this, or this little dance like you showed with us, like pulling it in? Because we
Mm,
would be nice if it were just understood, but it seems like we need to communicate.
absolutely. Dialogue is key. And the point is that, especially in my culture, I really hope this doesn't work like that in any single culture of the world, but sometimes we are not very available for just do a step behind and stay there and listen.
Hmm.
And sometimes we do not share what we think and what we feel because we fear judgment. And this, which really seems such a stupid thing, which really seems such a little thing that it can be easily solutioned, but it's not. Sometimes we just stay stuck in our miserable sexual life because we feel ashamed in communicating to our partner what we feel and how he should or she should behave
No, but
sexually.
to be able to, it's like if we're going to tell him no, not yet, and even though he's ready, go in, and you have to somehow make a gesture or a movement or a word or a sentence and
Mm.
say, hey, the vagina's not open yet.
Yes.
How do
And
you do that without hurting their feelings? Of course, we're going to be like, oh, but there's got to be some common ground here. It can't only be his way and it can't be only our way. It has to be some beautiful dance in between, no?
absolutely, it's the fusion of two bodies. And I'm talking about a Tinder date, and I'm talking about the sex of the love you have with the person of your life. There's no difference. It's always just a fusion of two bodies, and this must be lived as that. It's a beautiful moment. Let's share it and let's live it both in the best way we can. And when I talk about dialogue, when I speak about dialogue, when I speak about sharing emotions and literally also technical tips, maybe the best way to do that is doing that in a non-sexual environment. So let's not do that necessarily during the intercourse, but maybe at dinner or maybe during a walk. So honey, you know what, I work like this. And you should take advantage of it and you should understand it. And if you believe you knew everything about women, well, let me tell you, there's something more and there's something newer you should know.
Yeah. And I bet the psychology is a lot different for somebody who's been married for 30 years. And then if you're on a date or you've been on a couple of dates and you really like this person and you probably would speak to them differently than if you were married to them for 30 years, right?
Absolutely, but this is I mean, I would take advantage of a very new date because it's much easier to clarify everything rather than after 30 years of marriage, but also after 10 years of marriage, saying, well, you know what, my love, I've never felt anything and I've always faked my orgasm during 10 years. So
Yeah.
this is very hard to say. So we just have to find a different strategy to just have this message transferred to our partner. But this is very important. And in my book, there is a chapter dedicated to that. I mean, how do I tell this to my partner if I'm faking my orgasm since forever?
Yeah.
He's gonna be shocked about it. He's probably gonna leave me. I mean, the relation can leave
Change.
a
There are
very
consequences to saying things.
yes
Yeah.
hard hit. But yes, there's a way. We just say, okay, you know what? I evolved, and I think that we should do this, and I think that I would love to experience this new kind of stimulation. Please help me with this. There are plenty of ways to just change our sexual life for the better.
Yeah.
And the very first step is get to know us. So let's not forget that our clitoris is not just a little thing, that little button in our vulvas. It's a whole organ, and it's the only organ that we have in our bodies that admits sexual pleasure. And it's we should only think about this organ, the clitoris. It's and also men, they have no idea. There was this just funny but also hard comment on my podcast on Spotify. There are this comment section, and there was this guy saying in Italian, but he was saying, "Oh, poor girls, you have to stimulate your clitoris to have an orgasm."
Oh, wow.
Poor,
Yeah.
why poor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the culture tells us that we should orgasm via penetration, by penetration, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we are all convinced of it, but it's not. Sex doesn't work like that for the majority of people.
Yeah. Well, he certainly would like it like that, but right?
Yes.
That is just one side of the story. So, why do we focus so much on orgasm?
Well, because it's definitely such an amazing sensation that we all would love to have one, at least once in a life. There are people that have many a day. So, I mean, this is not so.
Hmm.
It's not, I mean, there are some people that really struggle with it. So, for people who struggle with it, this becomes the unicorn. I really want that. What's wrong with me? Why I cannot reach that kind of pleasure. And there's also another thing that it happens to me a lot during my clinic, and it's that people are able to orgasm during masturbation,
Mhm.
but are not that those same people are not able to orgasm during the intercourse.
Mm, yeah.
And this is a very common condition. It's, I would say, probably 85-90% of women of unorgasmic women
Mhm.
live this kind of condition. And this is also something that we should consider.
Mhm.
Why we fear abandon ourselves to pleasure in front of someone else. I like to call it to jump in a pool with very deep water, but it's just a pool. It's not jumping out of a plane. It's just
Yeah.
a pool. You can handle it.
Yeah.
And why we fear that so much? Why we just don't do that? And there are plenty of reasons, and they are all psychological. It's just something that we cannot. I saw so many women and they struggle with that a lot, and I see them crying and I see them desperate. I don't know why, what's wrong with me? I love him. He's the man of my life. He's so handsome. Why not? Why do I have amazing orgasm when I'm alone and not when I'm with him? And I'm sure that many people that are listening to us right now are living exactly this same condition. And please, girls, note and own that this is not only you. This is a very common condition.
What is
So,
the most common reason? If you said there were many, but if there's one,
Many of them, they report that they feel ashamed of the way they look when they are having an orgasm. So they do not want to, they don't want to show their face when
mm,
they are feeling that. But still, you can turn off the lights. But it doesn't work like that because they feel ashamed anyways. The most common reasons are guilty and shame, always.
yeah.
So, not feeling comfortable in showing ourselves so vulnerable when someone is in front of us or besides us. Or
Why are we like this? Where does that come from?
it comes from this is probably a matter of non-education that we live when we are very little. For example, in some families, the parents they don't show themselves naked to the kids. And this is a big mistake. This is a big mistake. I mean, the bodies are bodies. And those are your kids and you are their parents. There's nothing that can create discomfort in that. So what I always say to young parents is do not fear showing your body to your kids. And
It was fine
this
until they
is
were teenagers. And then they were like, Mom, put on some clothes. And what happens? Why, even if you do try when they were little, you're like that. But after a while, they're like, nah, they didn't want to see it.
yes, but if it's them that they don't want to see it, it's okay because it's okay because anyways they received the proper education before. So they are okay with bodies. Now they feel like grown-ups, so they don't feel comfortable in seeing their mother naked, and this is completely fine, but they are okay with the naked bodies.
Okay.
So this is the difference. Yes, okay. The point is being okay with our own naked body and with the naked body of someone else.
I've
We must
noticed
be
that
okay with that. It's
it is.
okay.
Do you think I'm American and I didn't completely grow up totally in the US, but I did spend a lot of time, most of my life, at most in the beginning, I guess until I left for high school. But I grew up in an American culture, let's say, until my 20s. And then I moved to Europe and other parts of the world. But I noticed that when I got to Europe, people much more open with their bodies. The girls on the beach in France without their tops, or if I would go into the gym,
Mhm.
nobody's like hiding their self with a towel. That's what I used to do. Go inside the toilet and then change and then come back, very prude. And then, well, Europeans were much more free in their bodies and seeing other bodies. And it was just not even a thing. So is there cultural differences, do you think, in the clients that you're seeing, or with orgasm, like this specific topic of not being comfortable with your bodies being an obstruction to
Eh,
orgasm?
I think that thing that you just mentioned is very much interesting. And there are two countries that are very into this feeling show in a good way. Just don't feel ashamed in showing the bodies naked, for example, at the beach. They are France and Spain in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
mostly. But this doesn't have anything to do with how you grow up concerning the naked body, your naked body, and the naked body of someone else. This is just a matter of permission. We are allowed to go topless in the beach. Let's do that. It's fine. And it doesn't have, in our culture, it doesn't have anything to do with sex. You can easily go to the beach topless with no bikinis, it's just wearing the bottom part and struggle with your sexuality and with your body. It doesn't have anything to do with sexuality. I know it's different, it's difficult to understand it. I know it's tricky, but it's absolutely like that. This is, yeah, we are allowed to do that. We do that because it's okay. But
But you
because it's
see,
the
they
way
would be
we,
very comfortable with their bodies. And they're on the beach, they're almost naked. And why would they have struggle with their partner if they can do that? I find it really hard to understand.
yes, I
Like
understand
you
that you
said, it
find
has
it.
something. It's to me, it's like, wow, they really are comfortable with their body, no matter what shape or size, or it's all
Mm.
they're all good with it. Doesn't matter.
This is the way they go to the beach. Have to do with how comfortable they feel with their bodies. I know it's not immediate, but yeah, it's I belong to this culture, and yes, this is what I can tell you. It doesn't have anything to do. I mean, you can have any body shape you can, and you can just go to the beach and swim and enjoy the sun. But then with your sexuality, you can be any body shape you can and still struggle with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think we focus so much on the orgasm because of the pleasure, right? It's like something we all want to have. So do women, because you work mostly with women, ha experience orgasm the same?
Well, not really. Because, okay, orgasm is, I mean,
Let's explain
neurologically and physio. Tell me.
yeah, explain what an orgasm is or looks or feels like, just and then we'll go forward from that.
Okay, orgasm is a very deep and intense sensation, which is like an electric impulse that starts from the brain, goes through the spine, and reaches the genitals through the pudendal nerve. So, this is the neurological and neuroscientific definition of orgasm. Then, the way we live or the way we do not live it, or we sense it or we do not sense it, is very personal for any single people, for any single woman, let's say. The organ that is responsible for orgasm is always the clitoris anyways. So let's never forget that. So not the vaginal canal, not any other the clitoris. But the way any single woman perceives it and lives it is very different. It really depends on the person we are with. It really depends with the stimulation we give ourselves or we receive. It really depends on how many kind of stimulation are involved. Because normally, I mean, in the most of the cases for penetrative sex, orgasm arrives with both stimulation. I mean, with two stimulation in the same moment, which is penetration and the external stimulation of the clitoris. So we should not self-stimulate ourselves during penetration because it doesn't bring us anywhere. Let's forget about receiving a penis and just hold our hands and doing nothing. Doesn't work like that. So this is absolutely must be part of the sexual intercourse. And of course, there are women who can enjoy amazing orgasm without touching themselves. And yes, and
That's the brain working.
that's the brain working 100%, but there's also anatomy that may play a role in this. And because the glans of the clitoris, it can be positioned very close to the entrance of the vagina, or maybe 1 centimeters or 2 centimeters away from the entrance of the vagina. So this is life changing in the sense that majority of women have the glans of the clitoris kind of far away, let's say, from the entrance of the vagina. But those women who have the glans of the clitoris very close to the entrance, okay, they can just enjoy much more the orgasm with penetration only. Because the glans of the clitoris is interested directly by penetration. So this also has to do with anatomy a lot. And they say, I mean, science says, research says that this kind of clitoris, okay, so the one who is very close to the entrance of the vagina belongs to the 15% of women. The rest, they have it a little bit more far away.
So then if a woman has never had an orgasm and she's working towards this, how would she know if she's having an orgasm? Does she describe what she should be feeling?
No, okay, if you had an orgasm.
Yeah, but if you haven't?
If you have the doubt, you never have it. You never had it. Because there's another condition, and this is very common. Okay, for example, during penetration, there are some women who do not feel anything. If the vaginal canal is completely numb. So you just feel that there is something inside you, but you do not feel anything. And this is a very common condition. So in sense, the numb vagina, let's say. Other women who feel a lot of pleasure during penetration, like amazing pleasure, but they do not orgasm. And this is a different condition. So when I was speaking before about different levels or different kinds or types of anorgasmia, this is a thing, okay? You can feel nothing or you can feel a lot of pleasure, amazing pleasure, but do not allow yourself to this electric impulse that comes from the brain through the spine. and goes to the genitals, which is named orgasm. There are many levels. So that's why sometimes women, they are perfectly fine with their sexual life, even if they do not orgasm, because they feel so much pleasure that it's okay.
Mm.
And many other, they don't feel anything, and this is less okay. To go back to your question, just how does an orgasm feel? An orgasm feel is like a very disruptive sensation that just, if you had one, you not be aware of it.
Yeah, okay. So those
Uh,
women who,
mm,
yeah, they'll know. You're saying they know. 'Cause for me,
yes,
it's like a wave. It's almost like an out of body experience, and then
exactly.
there's some little contraction of the genital area. You're just like there's something going on there. But you do feel it.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a wave. But that's why I wonder if we're all experiencing differently. Because it's, can you get, if you say, okay, I've already orgasmed, that's the way I feel it. But I hear it should be like even more amazing. Can I get my orgasms to like next level better than what it is that I think is working on fine or whatever it is. But I'm always looking to optimize and get next level. If it's something better than this, then I want it.
sure. And there are like kind of a bunch of women that know that come to me every single month and they say, okay, am I losing something? I mean, I'm completely satisfied with my sexual life, but am I losing something? Maybe I can achieve more than that. And there's also, oh, sorry, there's also always the way to achieve more, but there's also a way to just enjoy the moment, enjoy what you're doing, and without looking for or searching for something else. And then maybe that something else just arrived. So you mentioned the contractions, and can I just say something about those
Yes.
contractions, which is very interesting? Okay, so the contractions of the orgasm that can be 3, 4, 8, or more. Lucky girls, the ones that have more than 8 contractions. But okay, they are due to the muscles that it's the anus elevator, and this is the one responsible for the contractions of the orgasm.
Mhm.
No other muscles is responsible. No other muscle in the body, in a female body, is responsible for the contractions of orgasm. So this muscle just goes like this, goes up and down, and lifts, literally lifts up the anus. And this lifts the anus, brings with it also the entrance of the vagina and all that can goes with it. So this is why we have contractions, because the pudendum nerve goes also on the muscle, that little muscle that behind there, which is the absolute starting of the orgasm, together with the clitoris. And that's how it works. How it works.
Wow.
This is the reason why we have the contraction. So we should have much more respect towards our muscle behind there.
Yeah. And this pudendum nerve. Wow. I want to like tap into that. That's
Yes,
a
this
nerve
is
I never knew about.
yes, yes, and it's the reason it's responsible for sexual pleasure because the pudendum nerve it has to do with contractions and with pleasure, so it's sensitive and the motion. It has to do with motion and with the sensations.
Okay, explain since okay, I think we need to wrap up because I could go on forever with you. We're just now it's like a deep dive into orgasms, and I still barely scratched the surface. But we just started a 14-day intimacy, connection, and sex challenge in my private membership group.
Hmm.
And one of the first tasks that I gave them was to go through Susan Bratton's bucket list of orgasms. And it was, no, sorry, bucket list of sexual desires, pleasure. It was a great way to open a conversation with your partner. What do you think about anal sex? Or what do you think about, I don't know, X, Y, or Z toys, like things that you may not have talked about. And it makes things a little clearer. And so one thing that I found on her list is what kind of orgasm would you like to have? And I think there must have been about 15 of them. And I didn't know there was a prostate orgasm, there's a nipple orgasm, there's what I thought just was an orgasm. So what's going on here? Why are there 15 orgasms? And what does that even mean?
I think that much of it is about curiosity because we heard that there is, I don't know, We heard that someone had a nipple orgasm and we want to try it because we are curious. It's true. I also spoke with a bunch of women who told me that they experienced this nipple orgasm. I never tried it. I never had it, but I'm on it.
It exists. We
Working on it, but still didn't happen. So I think there's a lots of curiosity, which is amazing, just to look for more and to experience more with our bodies. And this is absolutely amazing, and I love that in your private sessions and in these women of your community are so curious and so open. So this is amazing.
And
Then
we're having you talk with us, by the way. Just a little plug for join us in our membership group because you can meet Dr. Lenny.
Why not? I would love to,
Anyways,
of course.
I'm
here
excited to have
serve.
you there. We're going to talk about nipple orgasms.
Yes, there's a lot of curiosity, and this is amazing. But there's also something we have to deal with, which is the anatomy and the physiology of our bodies. So this counts absolutely. But then anything that makes us feel good, and anything that makes us feel less, let's say, vulnerable, and everything that makes us feel more open to pleasure in any single way, why not? Okay, let's do it. Let's try anal, let's try nipples, let's try cervix, let's go for it and let's see what happens. Maybe nothing happens and it's also fine. The point is just be kind and not be too strict with ourselves and with our pleasure. Let's stay with the pleasure, let's stay in the moment and let's leave the moment. And then if you get your nipple orgasm, well, happy. I'm happy for you, and you are happy for you.
So it's a thing. Yeah, I'm always because the pudendum nerve doesn't go to the nipple, right?
No,
It's
no,
physiologically. It must be something with the brain and the experience,
yes.
and we'll dive deeper into that. But I'm really so grateful that you're here with me and so open to talk to me about sex. Well, obviously that's your job. And before I let you go, what do you think? You've worked with millions of women, obviously, and through your books and podcasts. So what is the most common pleasure myth that refuses to die?
That orgasm must be a consequence of penetration.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good one. Like we can let that one go now. And
Yes.
I'm gonna
And the
have
second one is that women don't fake.
yes, yes. There's
Yeah,
so
we
much
fake our orgasm a lot.
we don't need to. It's like
We
if
don't
we
need
work
to. We
on it,
shouldn't.
we shouldn't. Yeah, and there's so much. It's so much pleasure out there that we may not even know about. So I would say get curious and get in touch with Dr. Lenny. Go listen to her podcast if you speak Italian, and if not, you've got some plans coming up for us, and you'll hopefully let us know in the future. And I'll have.
Soon.
So if anybody wants to work with you one on one, then how can they reach out to you? Okay, so if somebody really wants to work with you, are you open to taking clients?
Wow, I'd love to. Yes, I work in three languages, English, Italian, and Spanish. So if you would like to see me in a one-to-one online session, you can contact me via Instagram at my Instagram account, which is Dr. Leni underscore mental sexual health. So yeah, we just get in touch from there and we will schedule our one-to-one meeting.
Oh, exciting. All right, I have a link to that in the show notes. A link to that in the show notes. And before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to tell women before I let you go?
Perceive yourself as an orgasmic woman always.
Good one. Perceive it and believe it,
Mm,
it will happen, right?
yes.
That's the first step, at least. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Lenny. I hope to see
Thank you, Zora.
you in person some point. And if not, we will see you for sure in the membership group. So take care. Have a good day,
I'd
good
love
night,
to.
good morning for everyone else who's listening. And I look forward to having Dr. Lenny on again. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.